we are working on towards a better Ocean State 9 in 2019. My name is Lauren Amaka, and I have my colleague here with me. My name is Adesare Abiola. Okay, we are here. We are in Honorable Rotimi Makide's house, and we are going inside to meet him.
You're welcome back to Tokadis TV on Rebuilding Our Nation. And today's topic is how to make a better Osun State 2019. My name is Lawrence Amaka, and I have my colleague here with me.
My name is Adesare Abiola.
And our chief host for today is Honorable Rotimi Makide. You're welcome, sir, to our platform. Yes, welcome, sir. So, my question here for you today is, what can you say concerning the upcoming election in Osun State 2019?
Well, I want to believe the election is going to go on smoothly. It's not about win or alone. It's about the country and the party called APC. In my own opinion, I have strong feelings that the APC as a party will be interested in ensuring that the election go on smoothly, free and fair. For if it goes otherwise, it's going to send the wrong signals to the outside world that this is a serious party. Granted that APC as a party will not win the election, and if we go by the tremendous transformation and the work of the current government, I'm not exercising any fear at all.
Thank you very much, sir.
So, how can you divine the present administration in the state of Osun?
Well, there are a lot of difference in the administration of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola when you compare it to his predecessor, General Olagunsoye Oyinlola. Different in party ideology, and the personality involved are equally different. The principle and the programs of the two parties are parallel. And when you now make a comparison between the present government and the previous government, I think it's a clear difference. Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, without exaggerating, he's a man that has the call to serve his people. There could be some little darkness as a result of the economy of the nation, which, to the best of my knowledge, limited his ability to tie up more than necessary. But even at that, I think I will give kudos to him in many ways. He started very, very well, full of enthusiasm, good program, and plenty of energy in him. But unfortunately, he's working within limited resources, and not only limited to this state. And I think that is happening all over other states of the Federation. People should not forget that this administration came and inherited an 18 billion loan from the past government, which was a loan that we should even be thanking God by the way and manner he repackaged it. It's an 18 billion loan gotten because of stadium, building stadium in this country, in this part of country. And the man came and tried to prioritize his expenditure in many ways to kickstart the transformation. If we look into so many sectors in our system, we give credit to this man. Let's talk about road networking in our system. I have not seen any previous governor who had been so privileged before him that have performed credibly well compared to Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola on road and other infrastructure. When you also look into the school, the institution itself, you will quite agree with me that no government in the whole of Nigeria has ever turned around our school structure compared to Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. He did quite well in that, and he tried to direct us towards even the education, the agricultural setup itself. And if we want to be sincere to ourselves, you will quite agree with me that the rapid transformation that happens in the state capital deserves kudos. Now we have a befitting state capital in this part of the world, which was not like that. No indigenous of Osogbo or an Osun state that will not be proud of the city of Osogbo as it is now.
Thank you very much, sir. According to what you said, Governor Aregbe has done so well, but I would like to ask this question. What can you say concerning the state of politics between APC and PDP in Osun State?
Well, APC, there are two different parties. APC is a party that believes in progress. It's a progressive party. Very, very different compared to PDP. Under our party, we believe in the rule of law. PDP are lawless people. I will call them very violent, without exaggeration. PDP cannot be compared with APC. Here in Osun today, we can sleep and snore. Unlike in the past, we have not recorded any major violence from the starting point of Aregbesola to today compared to the people of Osun. And this is a party that lives in discipline. You can't easily compare APC and PDP together. We have respect for the party constitution. We believe in the leadership of the party, and unlike PDP, where the rich are the deciding factor of almost everything. With your money, if you are not loyal in PDP, in APC, you go nowhere. With your money, if you are not sound and credible in APC, you go nowhere. But in PDP, I think those who are powerful enough, rugged and rich enough, carry the day. So it's incomparable. I am happy that I'm a member of APC.
Hi, sir. Thank you, sir. With the way Osun Governor Ogbonniran Aregbesola has been the level of education so high by bringing those schools together using the same uniform, do you think it will not bring some negative impacts to the students? As in, because most schools have been joined together, migrate together, and they don't even know their identifications.
Well, I think that seems to be one of the mischievous position and rumor the opposition are capitalizing on. It's not a kind of unprecedented action of any ruler. If the so-called critics are well exposed, they will quite agree with me that it makes administration of school easier. Of what benefit is it when we are not united? Of what benefit is our education when even the students don't know what they are doing? Of what benefit if we don't have identity to ourselves? Aregbesola came, brought a lot of innovation, and people are not so careful in criticizing this gentleman because he's an uncommon governor. People don't sit down and analyze the kind of transformation he's bringing into our school. We are talking about uniform. Of what benefit is people who are to wear green and you see other people wearing blue, red, all sorts of things, they cannot be identified. What he is simply doing is to send signals to the outside world that he's an agent of branding, and also he's being rebranded. He gave us new identity, he gave us new slogans, He gave us new high anthem, all sorts of that. I think we should celebrate such a person. It's not about the uniform you put on. It's not about what they wrote on the veil. It's about the engine it was fed. Look at how he met the educational in decay. As far as assisting, look at what it is today. That is what we should be thinking about. We should not be concerned about this school is matched with this, with that. Of what benefit is for these states to have 500 schools and they are so ensemble. Then look at what it is now. Beautiful school, beautiful environment, and the students themselves are well fed. Very unprecedented in this part of the world. That people all you need to do is to ensure that your children come out to go to school. You don't even need to feed them. And this is a person that is so concerned about even retraining the teacher. I think we should give kudos to him.
Thank you very much, sir. So, sir, in Nigeria today, most especially, people have said a lot concerning politicians and how they, operate. So, what do you have to say concerning corruption and financial gain among politicians in Nigeria?
Well, the corruption is not limited to the politicians alone, for Christ's sake. In the past, in this part of the world, Nigeria suffered a lot of corruption under the military. So it's just unfortunate that truly there could be some kind of bad sport or bad people playing politics. But we have what we can call the check and balance, for Christ's sake. We have the electorates have the power, the voting power. And that explains why I am an apostle that people should learn to vote for person and not party. They can sit down and analyze the background of that politician. We are all politicians for God's sake. We play politics in our home, we play politics everywhere. It's like Boko Haram. Boko Haram is in every home in Nigeria now. Not only limited to Borno or whatever. A jobless person is Boko Haram. A jobless husband is a Boko Haram to his husband, to his wife. And a child who is not having work to be able to cater for his brother become a Boko Haram. So it's the same thing in describing the politicians. There are people who have genuine call to serve their people, who prepare themselves. They have the call, for instance, without exaggerating about my person. I didn't come into politics because of money. I didn't come into politics because of fame. Nigeria knows I have been a famous actor before coming into politics. Nigeria may not know that I have been very comfortable working as an accountant with NNPC for good 20 years before coming into politics. And I was not chased out of NNPC. I voluntarily resigned my job to answer the communal call of my people. That will tell you that I have a solid background and not necessarily targeting money or power in politics.
Wow.
So I give God the glories that I'm made before stepping into politics. And that is the way I believe Nigerians or the electorate should be re-examining people who are in politics. You look at the person you want to cast your vote for.
Exactly.
Because once you cast your vote, you are surrendering the mandate of your life. You become the decision maker and the director general of your life.
Exactly.
So you look at the pedigree of such person. What has he done for himself as an individual? That is very, very important. And I must appreciate the manner, the idea of this present government in fighting corruption. Once we checkmate ourselves about corruption in this country, this society will be a better place for we all. So I am an opposed to that. No price is too much. No effort will be too much to fight corruption to stand still in this country.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we'll be going for a short break now. Stay on tune. about this TV on rebuilding our nations. We are still on our topic today, toward better election in 2019. So, what do you think about the present situation in Osun State? Do you think APC have better future in 2019?
That's a general question. I want to believe if our people are conscious of their future, if our people appreciate good governance, they should not have anything to do with PDP again for life in this country. What did I mean? The mess they plunder us with their misrule and the high level of corruption in this country is what we are suffering today. Give for Gbeni Rauf Aregbesola, whom I know very well, enough money, capital, he will do wonderfully well. We are with him working within very limited resources. Look at the tremendous transformation that has happened in this state. Do we now ask ourselves, do we go back into that dark days when the state government house will become a kind of polo home for prostitutes, home for miscreants, home for cash and carry basis type of government? The answer, of course, is no. But this decision is in our hands. Are we not happy with what is happening with all our schools? Are you expecting somebody to come and turn it into a kind of business center or disco center or dancing center, for Christ's sake? We should ask ourselves, are we not happy with the rapid transformation going on here and there, the kind of infrastructure? How then it will surprise me to see a sensible person in Osun State thinking of going back. We should be going forward. Are we not happy with the kind of happiness, good governance going on in Lagos State? And it's simply because there was continuity. So let's enjoy this continuity to a reasonable extent. Or when they have started well, we needed good hand, good person, good government with this good program to continue, so that we will be proud to come from a queen of Omoluabi. That is just my own candid opinion, and people should just not think of little dark. Of course, Ogbeni Aregbesola may not be a perfect person, but when you place him on level balance, I want to believe his government, his person outweigh anybody you can think of who have been so privileged in this country.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Alright, sir. We used to know you as a member of House of Rep before, but I don't think you are still operating for now. So what do you have to say concerning that?
Well, it's an open secret that I was once in the House. In fact, the first Nollywood person to be so privileged in the whole of Africa to be so elected. I call it privilege. It's not by my power. I am not the most educated person in this community or the best personality in this part of the world. I see myself privileged. When I was elected in 2011, lesser emphasis was placed on me by people. He looked down on me as a common only theater voice he find himself. But I thank God I not only got elected into that house, but I planted my footprint in the House of Reps. And without missing a word, I have a lot of motion, deeds, and tremendous achievement to my credit. And I became a good ambassador to even the Nollywood and to the people of Ife. Till today, I can move freely. People are even regretting that I was voted out. And I thank God I'm still alive. And yes, I thank God. It's a good opportunity for me to readdress myself, to get reconnected to my God, to get reconnected to my people if I'm to award myself even marks, I will not gladly give myself 100%. And I can see my darks, errors, and mistakes on some certain things. Now I live more within my people. I now get closer to them. I understand their needs better. And I keep on praying that God give me another opportunity, then the Ifes will be proud of me that I was truly born because of Ife.
Amen.
So that's my aspiration. And I don't have taller. I'm not the type that have tall ambition. I'm looking forward to return back to the house come 2019. I want God on my side and see it God.
Alright, sir. So, after those challenges you face in politics, how are you trying to forget the pains and what keep you moving?
Well, I happen to be a person that always appreciates God for every day. I live by the day. I don't look at my past, I only learn from my past. I'm a very determined person with high determination to succeed in life. And looking back, was I really born silver spoon? No. Am I better placed? And the answer again is no. I recall when I stepped into politics. I stepped into politics when it was very risky. When a parent will be addressing their works not to go into politics. When a wife will be sitting down, a husband not to go into politics. Politics happen to be a very murky venture. Especially with the like of me who was not chased out of my working career, but the eagerness to serve my people made me to voluntarily quit a very lucrative job. What some people will call certainty to uncertainty. It was God that turned it into certainty. It's not by my making. So, and I've faced a lot of murky experience, like you said. I have been kidnapped at the stage. They've attacked my person, that I lost a brother, and some innocent people, even on the altar of a church. 5 persons were brutally murdered. It remained a kind of perpetual scar in my heart that I carry today. But living in sorrow cannot help even those departed souls. All I need to do is to remain strong, to be able to withstand the storm, so that when I leave, I will be able to be a good ambassador to many. I understand that I'm a mentor to many people, and I must continue to remain strong, to fulfill that desire, that destiny, and to live to wipe tears of that family, those family. If I had allowed that to weigh me down, the church will destroy, will not be rebuilt. Today, even as a Muslim, I can be proud to say I've rebuilt the church. And if I live well long enough, it is my desire to look into those families to see how best I can wipe their tears to the best of my ability. So I am the type of person that don't necessarily care about what happened to me in the past, but I have a strong determination to forge ahead with my life. I can't remember who offended me yesterday. I usually forgive. That's one thing about it.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, sir. The question I have here for you is, do you think hidden agenda should be allowed in politics?
Hidden agenda? No. I don't know what you mean by hidden agenda.
Like ambition, having a hidden ambition.
Wow. If there is anything that kills any gathering, if there is anything that kills political party, political formation, political friends, it's hidden agenda. Of what benefit is it for me and you to sit down and start planning about how I have to become the next member of the House of Reps? And you are planning along with me. Whereas you two, you are interested in that. It's killing. It's killing. I think it will be discouraged. And people should have the guts and fear of God to table whatever things they have, so that we both talk about it and see who is good for this, who is good for that. If I'm aspiring for this, and I'm seeing you as a friend, as a brother, as my party person, and we are planning together. And we went so far, only for you to start bringing yours. I think it will be ungodly for you to be doing something. That's hidden ambition, if I understand you very, very, very well. And it easily kills people. And I will tag those people as betrayers. And they are not betraying the personality, they are betraying even God themselves. When you have an hidden ambition, you will definitely clash with God. You will definitely clash with
God.
God.
But we do have such people among politicians.
Yeah, I think I understand that is what politics itself is, which is one dark things I hate about politics. I am a very blunt person. I don't hide my ambition. I don't have even tall ambition. All I know is that for my community to enjoy me well, for my community to see the best of me, they should just return me back to the house, humbly, with every submissive and persuasion. I believe I am good for that, because it was when I was just even sitting down, learning the school, learning about budget, that the terms terminated. And any community that is sincere for themselves, that want the best for themselves, should be talking about sending their ranking person back to the National Assembly. Many may not even know that to be a returning person into the house is the only time you can bring something good for your community. If you are a novice or a mediocre, no matter who you are as a first timer, believe me, you are still learning. You are still learning. Before I could get to know what happens about budget, it was almost my third year.
So,
Thank you, sir.
I have a question I want to ask about your biography. But before that, I need to ask this question. So, don't you think Tinubu carpet crossing will bring an obstacle to APC party?
Well, he has not told me it's cross carpeting. I'm hearing that for the first time. If that is a breaking news, I don't know. But I know Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whom I hold in high esteem. He's a juvenile in politics. He's an authority in politics, well respected. He has what it takes, the intelligence, the focus, just name it. And he happened to be, I call him my grand mentor, because I was commissioned into politics by Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. And I know Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola have tremendous respect for Tinubu. So I would gladly agree that Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu is my grand mentor. I call him Baba Agba. And he call me Ife. When you see me, you say Ife. What happened to you and your brother in Ife? Hope he's not chasing you all around. That's what he used to say. He's somebody I have utmost respect for, and he won't just take a step without a reason. I want to believe he won't take a step without reason. Not only without reason, he will consult widely. And when you consult widely and is taking a step, it must be for the benefit of this our society. It must be for the benefit of Nigeria. It must be for the benefit of we that sees ourselves as their listener. But for now, I don't think I've seen any sign that is moving.
Okay, sir. Can you tell us a little thing about your biography?
Telling you about my background, let me see. Let me try to adjust my seat again. My background, fine. I was born like any other child, but the difference between me and many is that I understand. What do they call it? An Abiku. I don't see myself as an Abiku. That perhaps is why they named me Rotimi. Yes. An Abiku is a child who died prematurely, and they don't stay long, they don't last long.
Yes,
You are not a Yoruba person. Yes, maybe that's why. Yes, but try and read more about Abiku. I think that's their belief then. I don't believe that maybe it was just cholera or polio that was killing them there.
And it's much disease.
I wouldn't know, but the impression they gave is that there are lots, that some special breed, special born that are going to be Abiku. So I guess I was given that name because because my mother had about 7 children before me, and I understand I am the only survived
That's serious.
person. So their opinion is that maybe I won't live up to 5 years.
Before you go
I
again.
won't live up to 10 years. I won't live up to 20 years. I won't live up to 30 years, up to 40 years, or 50
Here you
years.
are, the time you're
Oh, I thank God, I'm still watching.
Yeah, sure.
My father had, like I say, plenty of children. If I say 16, I'm not exaggerating. My father has a very, very large family.
It's just one wife.
No. He had other wives. He had other wives. We learned from them. So I'm from a polygamous family. My mom loves me very well. So at a stage, she got separated from my parents, I guess as a result of not having these issues here and there. So I have to be left under her care to cater for me. And that brought a lot of challenges to me as a child growing up. I can recall I was once a conductor. I can recall I was once a taxi driver. But today I give God the glory. I started at my primary school I started doing primary school. I later attended Ukwamani Grammar School, Senes Grammar School, Government College Sokoto. From there, I proceeded to the Polytechnic of Bidikedi for my OND, and then later for my HND Kuala State Polytechnic, direct finance, and later I climbed it up with a master's degree in finance at the Ladoke Akintola University. I did my service with NNPC, and I was lucky to be with it. Very, very lucky. God was very wonderful to me. And I started in NNPC as an accountant for good 20 years before I followed through, retired into the murky water of politics. And so far, so good. No reason for me to say God has not been merciful to me.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, lastly, sir, I would like to know what was your attraction towards the media, one, and secondly, tell us your lifetime notes to the people out there. Like, what do you have to tell them concerning life and politics?
Yes, that's easy. My first and foremost, I see myself of somebody that have a lot of. I always want people to learn from me. I am not the type that hoard from knowledge. And going by the experience I've had as a child, as a student, I don't like people. I read more of people's autobiography, and mine too. I like people sharing from my own autobiography. I'm writing a book about myself. Rotimi Makinde, a man of many paths. Rotimi Makinde, an accidental politician. So people will definitely learn a lot from me. I'm a philosophical person. I step into Nollywood industry courtesy of my meeting with Benga and Deboye, who introduced me. He knows me to be a very good writer. I write for some newspaper, I write for City People, I write for some other news journals. And in development trends, I write even stories for some producers. And when Deboye spotted me, he advised me, young man, you can even produce this yourself. And that explains why I ventured into theatre industry, even as a civil servant in NNPC. And I recall in 1995, I produced my first movie called Owini, The Voice of the People. In it, I tried to explain that whatever God had or had, so shall it be. If majority of us, let's say we are family, and we told you don't marry this person. If you do, no matter how good that person, you will run foul of it. That is just the.
Thank you very much, sir. So, sir, what's your parting news to the people out there?
Yes, to the people out there, have very strong determination to succeed in life. Be the architect of your life. Be good and prepare yourself and have a very tall dream. And don't limit yourself that I can't do it. Have a positive, say it to your life that I can do it. If so person can do it, I can equally do it.
Okay, that's all for today's program on Top Addis TV on Revealing Our Nation. On today's program, that we discuss on Toward Better Osun 2019. That's all. We have already heard a lot for our chief host for today, Honorable Rotimi Makinde. My name is Adefare Abriola, and my colleagues here with me.
My name is Lawrence Amaka.
That's all for today. Look, remember to subscribe, and after subscribing, press like. Good day. Bye bye.